Whoa, he's a must to avoid, don't you think? What did I just say? Muscular boy or must to avoid? Hard to know? Although understanding speech seems effortless much of the time, both speaking and listening are actually incredibly complex skills that take years to acquire. Join me for this short taster lecture on the science of speech and language and why speech signals so much. Kia ora koutou, ko Sasha Calhoun tōku ingoa. I'm an Associate Professor in Language Sciences at Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. While you probably don't remember much of how you picked up your first language, anyone who has learnt a second language as an adult knows the struggle of learning to speak fluently. And we all know just how difficult computers can find it to understand us. But why is it so difficult? To understand this, we need to understand what speech is and how and why it varies. This is crucial to make communication effective and equitable in today's globalized world as we communicate with people from all over our planet, and not just people, but AI systems. Let's take a closer look at must to avoid versus muscular boy. At its heart is a confusion between the sound t in must to and k in muscular. These sounds probably seem quite different to you. That's because they contrast in English. For example, if we take the t in tea and swap it for a k, we get a different word, key, tea, key. But actually, these sounds are similar from a linguistic perspective. They are both plosives, meaning the sound comes from closing the tongue on the top of the mouth and then releasing it with a small explosion. T, k. The only difference is where the tongue closes. Forward near the teeth for t and back near the soft palate for k. However, there are other sound differences you may not have noticed. For example, say key for yourself and compare it to core. Notice where your tongue hits the top of your mouth. Key, core. Your tongue should be further forward for key than core. You might not know it, but our brains clock this kind of variation. And because humans are hardwired meaning makers, you'll interpret it as meaningful. Not linguistically, but socially meaningful, as a social marker or change in the language. There are great examples of this, looking at t and k in languages across the Pacific.
Talofa o lo'o ingoa o tō anga mai New Zealand, whaawhitai. Like in all languages in Samoan, we use different styles, depending on who we're talking to. But in Samoan, one of the things that changes is some of the sounds in words. So to Sasha, as a teacher, I'd use T-style, talofa, tō anga, New Zealand, whaawhitai. But to my friends, I'll use K-style, galofa, go anga, New Zealand, whaawhikai.
In other parts of the Pacific, languages from the same family have similar words, except one language has a t and the other has a k. For example, toru in Te Reo Māori and kolu in Hawaiian, meaning three. Why? These were once one language, but for some speakers, variation in t led it to be reinterpreted as a k, whereas for others, it wasn't. Language scientists use this kind of variation to reverse engineer human history, to help track how the tipuna of today's Pasifika voyaged across the Pacific, including to Aotearoa. Now let's think about AI systems recognizing acoustic patterns corresponding to, say, T versus key. As we have seen, there is not one such pattern per word, but many, depending on where the speaker is from, what style they're using, and so on.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
An AI system, which is largely trained on the speech of white middle-class American men, as many are, will not do well with speakers from diverse backgrounds, languages, or genders, as it has not learnt such socially meaningful variation. Today, we have seen that a seemingly simple speech contrast between t and k offers a remarkable window into why speech signals so much. Of course, speech sounds are just one part of language. There is much linguistic variation in words, grammar, rhythm and tune, and pragmatics. Language Sciences explores how language works, its structure, use in society, and role in technology. It also looks at how we can support language learning and teaching, revitalization, and better AI systems. Join us in understanding language, the operating system of human beings. Study for a Bachelor of Arts at Te Herenga Waka, Victoria University of Wellington.